Alright, welcome back to another episode of Class Haven Farms. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you like and subscribe. Kind of help me out and give me some support. If you see something you like, comment please. So today we're going to talk about wasting crab shells. So those of you that have chickens and you live here in Maryland, stop wasting your crab shells. Your chickens love this stuff. It's got good protein in it with the meat, and the shells give them good calcium for their shells. So it's a win-win situation. On top of that, if you're kind of like me and you free range your chickens and you set them up outside in different places, the more you sprinkle these things through your yard, believe it or not, it's actually good lime and things like that for your soil. Stop throwing them away. I see people throw this stuff all away. It's great. So when I pick crabs, the one thing that I don't give them is I don't give them the lungs, because we've always heard wives' tales of how they're dead man's fingers and things like that. So I just don't give it to them. Of course, I don't give them the top shell. A lot of times we keep the top shell, and the kids use them for decorating and painting and giving people Christmas presents and things like that. And the kids can put a personal touch to it, and it's less trips that I have to take to the landfill with a bunch of smelly trash. So all I do when we pick our crabs, all of our shells, everybody, we all save our shells, and I just put them into plastic bags, throw them in the freezer, and when I'm ready to give them to the girls, I just put them in a strainer, rinse all the seasoning off, because I don't want to give them all that seasoning. It's not good for us. It's not good for them. One thing to always remember with chickens, if we're not going to eat it because it's bad, they're not going to eat it, and they shouldn't eat it. So if you start giving them like bad, nasty food and stuff, you're going to have some dead chickens, and nobody wants that, especially when you got little kids. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things rinsed up, and we're going to go out to the coop. I'll spread these out for the girls. You'll see them go crazy for some crab shells, and we're going to go ahead and get the coop ready for winter time, and I'll show you guys how I do that. All right, we got our crab shells cleaned up. The girls are looking at me because they see the strainer in my hand, so they're like, come on dad, let's rock and roll, let's get this thing out. So here's what I'm gonna do to give you all a little action shot. I'm gonna dump everything out here, and you can kind of see they're starting to come over. Oh yeah, he just put some crab shells down. I'm about to have them a buffet. I'll go ahead and get this tripod set up for you. All right, get ready, here they come. Come on, girls. Hey, Ethel. Old Ethel, man. You gotta come see me. Old Ethel. Hey. Love it. Love crab shells. So again, it's something that you guys are gonna throw away. They're tearing this up and love it. So keep the crab shell. Something to think about when you freeze them. Obviously, when you go to rinse them out, that thaws them out. So you don't have to pull them out. You don't have to let them sit for an extended period of time out. All I do is I put them out. I put them in that strainer, run the water over it, just get as much of the seasoning off as I possibly can, and then I bring it out here and give it to the girls. I don't crush them up any more than that. They're going to take care of that. And the other thing to think about, they're going to be out here in the weather, so at any point in time, the girls are going to come, they're going to pick at it, it's going to sit out there, it's going to break down even more, and it's easier for them to eat. I will tell you this, within a month, all of these shells will be gone. They'll either be pushed down in the ground more, which is kind of helping you break it down for good nutrients in your soil, or it's because of them continuing to come back over and peck on it. And as the sun beats down on these crab shells, it's breaking the shells down, so it's easier for them to break it up. But right now, what they're doing is they're going after the meat. I got a couple of them. They've grabbed some bigger pieces of meat because they know what they got, and they're back there with it, taking it away. The newer chickens that we have that we got from Meyer Hatchery, they're still kind of new to this. This is only maybe their 6th or 7th time really getting crab shells, so you can see they're kind of sticking back a little bit, watching the elders. But my 5 experienced ones, man, they know once they hear that plastic bag, and especially when they see that strainer coming out, they know exactly what's coming down. So next thing I'll do is I'll get you guys set up. I'm going to go ahead and winterize my coop. Now the way I winterize my coop is I have some silk fence that I got from, I think my father-in-law got it from a job site that they had. But I just take silk fence and I just run it around the outside run out here. And the reason why I do that is to block some of the wind. Most of my wind comes from this direction, and it comes this way and hits the house this way. So if I wrap this just around that edge, I don't need to do the whole coop, but it's just enough to break some of that wind off. The girls do not like the wind, and you guys know in the wintertime, it's cold, it's windy. The girls don't like it. The wind gets up under their feathers, and it just doesn't make them comfortable. Remember, if your chickens are stressed out, if they're not comfortable, they're not going to produce as many eggs. In the wintertime, that is very obvious. Right now, I am getting, out of these 9 chickens, I'm getting maybe 2 eggs a day. Every once in a while, I might get 3. And those are primarily coming from the younger chickens that I just got in April. So my older ones, they might lay, I think I got one from one of the Buff Orpingtons yesterday, and that's probably the first time I've gotten one. Today's Sunday. That's probably the first time I've gotten one from them since like Wednesday. So the wintertime, it's very stressful for them. It's cold. They kind of go into hibernation as far as laying eggs, and they go dormant for a little bit. So putting that silk fence up around this run will kind of help them. The other thing that I do, and you don't have to do this, chickens do not need heat lamps at nighttime when it starts getting cold. The only reason that I do it is to keep my water from freezing. So when it's going to drop down below 35, I pull these 2 waterers out. A little bit of information for you guys with your waterers. If they have these metal nipples like these ones do here, at 35 they freeze. Just the nipples. The water in the tank will not freeze, but the water around that metal nipple will freeze. So usually when it drops down below 35 or 35, right around in there, I pull these out and I just put a regular, you know, maybe 2-gallon waterer in, and I put that inside the coop just to kind of keep it out inside with them. It's a little warmer in there. It's not as drafty. I will put, when it's going to drop down to like 30 or below, like I think there's one night this week they're calling for like 32. So I may just put the heat lamp just over top of that inside. Be careful with that though, because that can be a fire hazard. So something to think about. I always put it on timer. Most of the time like a dawn dusk timer. So just when the sun goes down, when the sun comes up, it goes off. I will tell you this, the first time I put a red light in there on them, the ones that haven't been laying, I don't know why, but it's like a trigger, and they just start all of a sudden laying again. And you'll get them pretty good until about February or so. I don't know why that is. That's the way to look at them. Always got to pick on Pete, man. I know Pete, it's all right. They're always picking on her. Even the newer ones are picking on Pete. So I'll go ahead and get this thing set up. My next game plan is I'm going to clean out the inside of this coop, because I'm going to do one last cleaning on it, and then I will not clean this out again until March. So one thing that I like to do is a deep bedding method, and I'll explain that to you guys as I'm doing it. But a deep bedding method kind of helps out with drafts, and it kind of insulates the floor, so it makes the coop a little warmer for them. So again, that's one of the reasons why you really don't need to put the heat lamp up. Again, the only time I put the heat lamp up is when I'm worried about the water freezing, just because I want to make sure they have water. Most of the time during the day, unless we have a really cold snap, it'll stay warm enough where the water won't freeze. And a lot of times I can bring those waters back out. I'll put them inside on those nights where it's going to drop down, but I'll bring them back out during the day and they can have that water. And then at nighttime I put them up and just put the other one out just to make sure it's there. I know I'm not perfect a lot of times. I'll wake up in the morning and guess what I'll forget to do? I'll forget to put these waterers back out, but at least I have the 2-gallon one inside the coop, so at least I know they have some water. So let me go ahead and get this thing set up. I'm going to clean this out. I kind of talk to you guys as I'm cleaning it out, explain what I'm doing, and see you in a couple of seconds. All right, so here's the inside of the coop here, and just kind of noticed the girls left some eggs for us, so I might leave them in there for right now while I clean this out. So to clean this one out is pretty easy. You just take this thing out, and then I'll get you guys set up. I usually just set the wheelbarrow up here on the side and just start scooping everything out. I plan on using all this right here. I got some apple trees that I'm going to plant. If I have time, I'm going to get to it today. So this is going to be my fertilizer. Instead of spending money on stuff to put down for the apple trees, I'm going to put this stuff around the base of the apple trees. It's almost the same stuff that you're going to get if you paid for it. So we'll reuse it because that's what I like to do. All right, while I'm cleaning this out, something I thought I would touch on would be my nesting boxes. So I got this from my grandmother. One thing she would always use to put in the bottom and the base of your nesting box is old shingles. So if you have some old shingles laying around from extra shingles from your roof or shed or something, save those and put those down in the bottom, because what happens when you get a chicken that's not roosting at nighttime and she's going into the laying box and she's pooping and all that in the laying box, so that way it doesn't soak into your wood and then you have to replace wood faster because it starts dry rotting. Go ahead and put some of these old shingles in there, and it's a good base. So what she would always tell me is put it so that the tar side is up and the rough side of the shingle is down in the laying box. So it's just something to think about. I'm going to keep going with this. I've gotten this thing completely cleaned out, so we're getting ready to start throwing our bedding on there. All right, so here we are. Got my got all my shavings down. All you have to do is, you're really just looking to cover the floor all the way, and I had a little bit extra in that bag, so I just dumped it all out. And I can see Crystal's in here right now, and she's scratching around. Thanks, Crystal. You really nice floor, and you're messing it all up for me. That's telling me that she's ready to lay. So she's one of our Easter eggers, and she lays green eggs. That's my son's chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up for her. The other thing to think about when you're doing this in the wintertime is close all your windows. So I only open this back window when I'm cleaning it out, especially in the wintertime. But when I'm done cleaning it and the dust is settled, I close all that up. Now, one thing you don't want to do is, a lot of times people think with chicken coops you want to completely insulate it. You don't. That is probably the worst thing you can do, because even though it's wintertime, there's still smell. So this thing has a really good ventilation the way it's set up. It's got a vent over there, plus in the eaves and all that is really good ventilation. But I still want to block all of this off and close these windows because of the breezes and the wind and things like that. So you want to knock that off your chickens, but you still want to have that ventilation. So I'll go ahead and close all those up, and we'll get ready to put the silk fence up around the run just to kind of knock some of that wind down for the girls. Okay, so I got the inside of my coop done and getting ready for winter. I have all my windows closed up. I have my bedding down. That would be the water that I'm going to use. So if it was freezing right now, that would be set up. The heat lamp is ready to go. Again, I only use the heat lamp to keep my water from freezing. So once the temperature starts coming back up, or first thing in the morning and I know the temperature is going to come up, I'll go ahead and cut that light off. I will leave that water there, and then halfway through the day or when I come home from work or whatever, I'll change it out. But that's just kind of give you guys an idea of what the inside of the coop looks like when I get it ready for winter. All right, so here I am setting up this silk fencing. It's, again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just taking it all the way around, just on this run, to help block some of the wind for the girls. All right, so I'll let you watch me for a couple minutes, and then or a couple seconds, and then I gotta cut this thing off. But this just does a really good job of keeping the wind off of them. They don't like cold wind. Neither do we, if you think about it. Oh, sounds like one of them are getting ready to go in there and start laying. Alright, so now I've gotten the silk fence all the way around. And that just kind of helps to block the wind out. So they still have plenty of sunlight they can get from the top, and most of the time I let them out anyway. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Class Haven Farms and kind of getting your coop ready for winter time and making sure you use all those leftover crabs. So don't throw your shells away, use them, because these guys love them. I got 3 of them that are circling the camera right now trying to figure out what this thing is. So I figured I'd bring Ethel up here. Everybody seems to love Ethel. So again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, kind of help me out and follow me along. And if I can teach you guys something, that's great. And maybe along the way you guys can teach me something. So again, have a great one, and I'll see you next time.